to Bill Barnwell, Seth Walder, or otherwise. This isn't hard feelings. This is just me owing my community the sports below the surface truth that they come here for, that they deserve. All right, so I'm always going to act and speak on their behalf. All right, so we're going to go sit down right over here and make some magic. Here we go. Cowboys, Quinnen Williams. Let's go newly acquired Quinnen Williams. Is exactly who ESPN analysts falsely say that he isn't. Let's go.
Did the Cowboys actually overpay for Quinnen Williams? That's what we didn't get to answer on the live earlier. That's really the lone remaining question, or the question that most people seem to only care about. I've said my piece, and I'll elaborate here. Anyone declaring that the Cowboys either overpaid or underpaid for the services of Quinnen Williams and or Logan Wilson, right, just relative to giving up Micah and who they acquired, is blatantly wrong. As I stated here, nobody knows who those draft picks are going to become right now. Nobody knows. And nobody also knows who the Cowboys would have otherwise selected. We will never know. Give me proven product over blindfolded dart throw. Every single time. It's not just about 2025.
A topic of this magnitude deserved my undivided attention, my uninterrupted attention. So that's the reason for the scene switch here down in the studio. And enjoying a discussion that I obviously have a very heavy amount of passion for, especially when I believe that, or when I'm under the impression that the people or the reporters and the reports that we'll be directly referring to today are either intentionally deceitful or just naive to the nature of the situation here, or in other words, or in even more layman's terms, how dominant, just completely unaware of how dominant Quinnen Williams is and how truly different, how rare his particular prototype relative to the position that he plays is, generally speaking, but particularly right now for the National Football League. So let me first start by saying to Bill Barnwell, Seth Walder, or otherwise, this isn't hard feelings. This is just me owing my community the sports below the surface truth that they come here for, that they deserve. All right, so I'm always going to act and speak on their behalf. Because the only thing that I know how to do is to objectively report the sports below the surface truth. And when you sit here and you tell us, fans on a global scale, given your platform, ESPN, that the Cowboys overpaid. And let me make it clear too, it's not just the fact, I don't care that you think that they overpaid. It's that you can't be correct if you state as a matter of fact that they overpaid or underpaid. You might think that they got a steal, that they paid less than what they should have paid to get Quinnen Williams. You're still wrong. Okay, but specifically to their notion, overpaying for Quinnen Williams, you can't make that statement. And be completely honest about it. Because it's not rooted in fact. And the reason is because we don't know what those picks are going to turn out to be. We won't know for a while. We definitely don't know right now. But we will never know who the Cowboys would have otherwise selected with those picks. So do you see how evaluating an overpay versus an underpay is contingent upon knowing what those picks turn into? But even that contingency is flawed because the Cowboys are never going to be the ones that actually make those decisions anyway. Now, even if they were, even if they did, even if they kept the pick, do I need to remind you? Do I need to refresh your memory on how imperfect of a science, how inexact of a science that the entire draft process is to begin with? Do I need to go down the laundry list of second round picks that have been absolute and complete utter failures for the Cowboys? Do I need to remind Cowboys Nation? Do I need to knock on the doorstep of PTSD and trigger the not so distant memories of Tristan Hill, Kelvin Joseph, Luke Schoonmaker, all very recent second round draft picks for the Cowboys. And there are more. I really sincerely hope that this is not an intentional deceit, effort, or attempt on your part simply because a player who is very clearly rare at his position now bears the star on his head. You can't make those assumptions and state them as a matter of fact. It is deceitful to fans who deserve to hear you tell them the truth, or at least own up to it and say, "Yeah, maybe I'm." The numbers guys, the nerds guys, the draft nerds, right? Some people that live in that world, they sometimes forget that they fail to acknowledge or to portray or project that there's no such guarantee. A draft pick might as well be you doing this. Blind darts. Because you can't technically and accurately measure what's between the ears, which is ultimately what matters the most when valuing draft picks. All right, so now here's another message that I just want to make sure that we all understand and are on the same page with. All right, here's how I truly feel. Where'd my audio go? Let's see what's happening here. Sit tight. Hold up. Let's just do it this way. Audio trying to get me today. Not going to let it happen. Let's go home. And let's do it this way. Here we go. Bear with me.
Listen, man, I promise you, Bill Barnwell ain't talking the way he's talking on Twitter right now if he's actually doing what I'm doing sitting right here, watching this guy play. He says,
lots of alternatives to go and get guys like this. Highly critical of the Cowboys' decision to do this, highly outspoken towards the fact that the Cowboy, or towards his opinion that the Cowboys overpaid for Quinnen Williams. Do you see what he just did? Like, we realize how uncommon this is, right? Surely we do. Bench pressing another grown man on a routine basis. Get off me. And making plays like this. I'm going to just let y'all watch that again because I don't think you appreciate it, especially if you're Bill. You don't understand how rare this prototype is. This prototype does not exist at a lots of alternatives level the way that Bill seems to claim that it does. There are a handful of guys like this in the league at any given time. Right now, there's Chris Jones, Dexter Lawrence, Jalen Carter, Jeff Simmons, and that's about it. And Quinnen Williams, and that's it. That bring this level of attention. No matter what, they're gonna see two bodies no matter what. They're gonna get chipped no matter what. They're gonna get game planned for and schemed around no matter what. Okay? For every Osa Odigizua to succeed, there's got to be a Micah Parsons drawing attention away. For every Kenny Clark to succeed, there's a Devontae Wyatt right next to him and a Rashawn Gary to draw attention away. Quinnen Williams will now be the focal point of every opponent's game plan for this Cowboys defense moving forward. And guys like Osa Odigizua, Kenny Clark, Donovan Ezeraku, Dante Fowler, Jadeveon Clowney, they will be the benefactor, the immediate recipients of more success as a result of the dirty work, the nasty, the game planning physicality that this guy provides. Game changer, disruptor. You cannot beat him one-on-one. You can't even beat him two-on-one. But yeah, Bill, let's pretend as if rookies in 2026 and 2027, second-round picks at that, when the Cowboys' recent history, their track record of the second round anyway, should be spoken of and accounted for. Let's pretend that rookies are more valuable than the one of five that are currently in the National Football League today. By all means, keep being intentionally deceitful. So I offer the caveat, in fairness, I don't know if they were intentionally deceitful. I can't technically prove that. So whether they are naive or intentionally deceitful is still really not relevant to the underlying purpose of this project here. Seth Walder goes on to claim that the Cowboys that they can there are a lot, or I guess it was Bill. I think it was Bill that said it. There are lots of alternatives to go about getting a defensive tackle when there just simply aren't. Otherwise, all 32 teams would have one. The attention that Quinnen Williams is going to command rivals the attention and the preparation for that guys like Micah Parsons and Myles Garrett command. He's that type of player. He has that type of impact. Everybody else benefits as a result of his mere presence. Osa Odigizua now doesn't have to take on double teams. Those will now be allocated to Quinnen Williams. Okay, now, the last point that I want to really get to, because hopefully we understand, or at least everybody is reasonable enough to appreciate that even if the Cowboys did overpay, even if we could say that they did, which we can't yet, we're still never going to know because they don't own the picks anymore. But it's too early to determine anything because we don't know what those picks are going to turn into. but we're smart enough to know and understand the draft for what it is and evaluate the track record for how infrequent guys of this level really do show up and show out like this. And when they do show up, you better have a lot more than a second round pick in 2026 to figure it out. So the point being, we're waiting until, realistically speaking, 2028 or 2029 before we can make any of these claims about how the Cowboys did or didn't overpay. But the point being is the Cowboys are loading up right now. The hidden message to a decision like this is that the Cowboys are going to inevitably hedge their bet this offseason, regardless of what happens in 2025. They're going to hedge their bet, and they're going to go and get another guy that's an impact player at a premium position, probably a corner. All right, and they're going to attempt to win the Super Bowl. That's what this move suggests. And that's why we suggested that the Cowboys should be active, regardless of their record right now, because draft picks, if you trade them for proven commodities, those proven commodities can produce for you well beyond just this year. So the capital that you covet so much, and that you suggest is the same value or more valuable than a proven product, isn't gonna prove itself. Will have no opportunity at this position. What we know, the time that it takes, the coming of age, the learning curve, it's a full 2-year process at minimum, with the exception of a unicorn. And once again, those unicorns don't grow on trees, but even if they do, they're gone in the top 5. The Cowboys will have either won or failed to win their run with Quinnen Williams now in the middle of everything else that they've done, their window that they've created for themselves with all their offensive skill, their core offensive players. That is the reason for this type of aggression. It's done with by the time that 2027 first round pick manifests. And they're hitting the reset button yet again. Now the 5-man front, I want you just to imagine this alignment right here. And shout out to John Owning, who is definitely loud and talking about it now, who I can't wait to get some work in with soon. But to Skywalker Steele and Okoye Media especially, who were weeks ahead of this type of discussion right here. Okay, so let's just break it down for you. Odd front. In this case, 3 down linemen, spelled by 2 outside linebackers or edges. Okay, it puts an extra body on the line of scrimmage. We got 12 personnel here from the Cardinals, meaning 2 tight ends on the field. Okay, that's a heavy personnel grouping. And for a team like the Cowboys, who have technically light bodies, even amidst the interior, right? So you've got a 3 technique playing a head up at the nose. This is a penetrating, more of your pass rushing 3 body type. Right? Guys that are quick off the line, can penetrate quickly, shoot gaps, pressure the quarterback. That's kind of the skill set of Kenny Clark, Osa Odigizua, and Solomon Thomas. But now, when you put a war daddy in there, like Quinnen Williams, who has more one technique and head up nose capabilities just because of his power against the run. You put him in the middle. Now, all of a sudden, Kenny and Osa and Sali are in more advantageous situations further from the interior. They're less likely to get double teamed and completely creased and wiped out of the play. All right, so you're adding an extra down lineman to the middle to make up for your 3 tech types in general. But this now creates less opportunities for double teams. It's more bodies, more mass to the front. It's extra gap. It's one extra guy responsible for his gap at the point of attack, which also thus simplifies the read at the second level. So in theory, Less guys are climbing. That means more linebackers are moving more freely. That means Osa Odigizua can line up as a 4-eye or a 5 technique and go get busy off the edge, where his power and his pad level are more advantageous against more guys who are less powerful and a little bit more athletic at the tackle spots. Regardless of what their physical skill set, their attributes say, he's getting one-on-ones now instead of being tasked with eating double teams. Let's run this play and just kind of see how it looks. But this is the stuff that Okoye, myself, Sky, we were discussing leading up to moments like this when hypothesizing about, okay, you've already got two $20 million guys on who would be on the books for you next year, technically. 2026, Osa, Kenny, and now Quinnen are going to make $20 million plus, assuming you keep them. Cowboys will have some decisions to make. I understand that. But we're just thinking hypothetically here, and this was the discussion that we had. You can make it work by deploying this type of front more frequently. So in this case, it would be Quinnen Williams, Jeff Simmons, Osa Odigizua, or Solomon Thomas, and then spelled by your two edges right now who are playing the run better than anybody, in my opinion, Jadeveon Clowney and Donovan Ezeraku. This deployment works. They have had more success when they deploy it, albeit rather infrequently. It's been highly effective. But now they can get all three of them on the field at the same time as down linemen, and you're making everybody's job easier in the process. They got 2 weeks to do it. What better time than right now on the bye?
Brady Christensen. He's got hands on Quinnen, but Quinnen gets to full extension. He's right here. He's pretty much just two gapping. Okay, he's reading, reacting, and Mr. Christensen, number 70, is completely at the mercy of Quinnen's desire. So he's reading Rico Dowdle, and watch, just see. Okay, peeking left. Not let me peek right. Not let me throw you down this way and snatch and peek back left again. Let me wrap my dude up. This is full control at the point of attack. This is leverage. This is power. This is core. This is unusual abilities in the run game. It's why he's the highest graded run defender in football right now. Just completely discarding people against their will. Almost as if they aren't there in the first place. Cutting through them like butter. Look, left, right, snatch, discard, shed, wrap up, tackle. You know, it's like you can't block him one-on-one. Dang sure. But teams fully game plan around him. They have to allocate for him, account for him on every single play. And you can't even block him with two. It's okay if you thought you knew a player before you wrote about him wrongfully. All you would have to do in this particular instance would be to say that you were wrong. You made a mistake. You've done your homework since then. And the people will forgive you.
Make sure you hit that like button for me. Tell a friend where to find the Sports Below the Surface Truth for the true fan. And stay tuned to hear so much more on this topic and many others just like it. I appreciate y'all making the climb to 10K. I know that we can do it with your help. Okay, remember the prayer changes things, and the war's already won. Tell the truth.